The look on Sharon Supreme Overlord Mitchell's face when the sheriff handed her the eviction notice was worth every penny of the surveyor's fee. This can't be right, she stammered, her voice cracking like thin ice under pressure. The woman who had spent 2 years terrorizing our neighborhood was now standing in my clubhouse, holding a legal document that proved she'd been operating her little kingdom on land that belonged to me. "Ma'am," Sheriff Williams said with barely concealed amusement, "you have 30 days to vacate the premises. All HOA operations must cease immediately." The emergency HOA meeting she'd called to address my violations had just turned into her own eviction hearing, and I was loving every second of it. But let me rewind to where this beautiful disaster began, with a barbecue, a pond, and Karen's legendary inability to mind her own business. 2 months earlier, I was grilling burgers by my pond on a perfect Saturday afternoon when the sound of heels clicking on gravel announced the arrival of Hurricane Sharon. Sharon Mitchell, HOA president for life, or so she thought, appeared at my property line like a bad omen in a pantsuit. Her face was already twisted into that special expression reserved for people who'd found dog poop on their designer shoes. "Mr. Chen," she barked, waving her phone like a weapon. "I've had 17 complaints about your gathering." I glanced around at my gathering. Me, my wife, our 2 kids, and my brother-in-law sharing hot dogs. Real threatening stuff. Complaints about what exactly? "Sharon, it's President Mitchell," she snapped. "And you're violating noise ordinances, creating smoke pollution, and hosting unauthorized social events." I blinked slowly. "I'm grilling hamburgers in my backyard at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. The HOA bylaws clearly state that homeowners can't barbecue on their own property." Sharon's smile was colder than a tax auditor's handshake. "The bylaws state that all outdoor activities must be pre-approved by the Lifestyle Committee. Did you file a Form to 7B for outdoor cooking?" There it was. The moment I realized I was dealing with someone who had weaponized bureaucracy. "Sharon," I said, keeping my voice level, "I'm cooking food. On my land. This isn't a block party. Rules are rules. Mr. Chen, you have 24 hours to file the proper paperwork or face a $200 fine." She click-clacked away, leaving me staring at my burger like it had personally insulted her ancestors. That should have been the end of it. Any reasonable person would have let a guy grill in peace. But Sharon Mitchell wasn't reasonable. She was a petty tyrant drunk on the intoxicating power of homeowner association authority. The next weekend, I filed the paperwork, all 17 pages of it, for a backyard barbecue. Sharon rejected it. Insufficient detail regarding smoke dispersal patterns, she wrote in her denial letter. "Resubmit with environmental impact assessment." 4. A hamburger. I resubmitted with a detailed analysis of how my vapor grill's smoke would affect the local ecosystem. Sharon found new reasons to reject it. Guest parking allocation inadequate, noise level projections missing, condiment selection not pre-approved. She was rejecting my BBQ applications faster than I could write them. But I kept my cool, kept filing paperwork, and kept documenting every ridiculous demand. Because Sharon Mitchell was about to learn that I don't just grill a mean burger, I also happen to be a real estate attorney who does his homework. The final straw came during my 4th attempt at hosting a family BBQ. I'd filed every form, dotted every I, crossed every T. Sharon had grudgingly approved my outdoor cooking event after I agreed to her absurd conditions. No music, no laughter above 60 decibels, and a detailed guest list submitted 48 hours in advance. I was just flipping burgers when Sharon's voice cut through the afternoon air like a chainsaw. "This is completely unacceptable." She was standing at my fence, phone pressed to her ear, face red with manufactured outrage. "Yes, 911. I need to report a disturbance. A homeowner is violating multiple HOA regulations and disturbing the peace." I nearly dropped my spatula. "Sharon, are you seriously calling the cops on a family BBQ? You're in direct violation of the noise ordinance." She shrieked, Your children are laughing too loudly. The police arrived exactly 9 minutes later. Officer Martinez stepped out of his patrol car looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Someone reported a disturbance. He asked, glancing around at the most threatening BBQ in suburban history. This man, Sharon declared, pointing at me like I was a war criminal, is flagrantly violating community standards and creating a public nuisance. Officer Martinez looked at me flipping burgers, then at Sharon having a full meltdown, then back at me. Sir, are you cooking? Yes, officer. With proper permits. I handed him my stack of approved paperwork. Ma'am, Officer Martinez said, slowly, what exactly is the crime here? He's exceeding the approved noise levels. His pond is creating mosquito hazards. His barbecue smoke is violating air quality standards. That's when Officer Martinez noticed something that made his eyebrows shoot up. Mum, whose pond is that? It's on HOA common property, Sharon said confidently, which is why his activities are actually, I interrupted, pulling out a folder I'd been saving for exactly this moment. That's not quite right. The surveyor's report was a thing of beauty. 3 months of research, property records dating back to 1987, and one absolutely delicious discovery that was about to turn Sharon's world upside down. According to the official county survey, I explained to Officer Martinez while Sharon watched with growing horror. This pond and approximately 2.3 acres of what the HOA considers common property actually belongs to me. Sharon's face went through several interesting color changes. That's impossible. The original property deed was misfiled in 1987, I continued, savoring every word. The county corrected it last month, this land including the pond, the walking trail, and, I paused for dramatic effect, the HOA clubhouse is legally mine. You could have heard a pin drop. You're lying, Sharon whispered. Officer Martinez examined the documents. These look official. Sir, ma'am, it appears you've been operating on his property without permission. Sharon's empire was crumbling in real time, and I was grilling burgers while it happened. This means, I said, turning to address the small crowd of neighbors who'd gathered, that every HOA meeting held in that clubhouse for the past 2 years has been technically trespassing. Sharon's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Furthermore, I continued, since I'm the actual landowner, I can evict any unauthorized organizations from my property. Effective immediately, the emergency HOA meeting Sharon called that evening was pure theater. She'd summoned the entire board to address this crisis, not realizing she was about to preside over her own professional funeral. The board needs to understand, she announced to the packed clubhouse, that Mr. Chen is making fraudulent claims about property ownership to avoid legitimate HOA authority. She was still talking when Sheriff Williams arrived with the eviction notice. Sharon. Mitchell, he said, interrupting her mid-rant. Yes, I'm President Mitchell. What's the meaning of this interruption? You're being served notice to vacate these premises within 30 days. The room went dead silent. This is obviously some kind of mistake, Sharon said, her voice wavering for the first time in 2 years. No mistake, ma'am. Mr. Chen is the legal owner of this property. You've been operating without his permission. I stood up slowly, enjoying the moment. Sharon, you spent 2 years making my life miserable over a backyard BBQ. You called the police on my family. You tried to fine me for grilling hamburgers on my own land. Her face was pale now. All the fight drained out of her. Turns out, I continued, you've been running your little kingdom on my property this whole time. So here's what's going to happen. You have 30 days to find a new clubhouse. The HOA is officially evicted. The room erupted in chaos. Some neighbors were laughing, others were shouting, and Sharon was standing there looking like her world had just exploded. You can't do this, she whispered. Watch me, I replied, then delivered the line I'd been saving for months. Oh, and Sharon, next time you want to complain about my BBQ, you'll have to do it from someone else's property.